Hey guys, beat another game in my October horror game marathon, and for these last few games I've been playing, I've decided to go back to the Super Nintendo. I think I've mentioned this various times. It's my favorite console of all time, by far, but there's still a lot of games I haven't played for it, and Demon's Crest is one of them. Maybe doesn't fit entirely into the horror game realm, but it's got a lot of like gothic architecture. It reminds me of like the Castlevania games in a way. And this is basically the third game in the Gargoyles Quest series from Capcom. Now I haven't played the first two, but this makes me want to go back and play those games, because I'll just say right now, this game completely blew me away. It is one of the most innovative and unique games I've played on the Super Nintendo, and if I were to do a top 20, this might make it very high. This is one of the best Super Nintendo games I've played in a long time, and it's incredibly underrated, I think. I was reading on the internet, apparently like when this game came out, it sold like terribly. I think in like some magazine it said that it actually had negative sales for a month or something. Which is actually very sad, considering how amazing this game is. Of course, now it's kind of got a cult following. On eBay, it goes for around $70 for cart only. I'd say it's actually worth it. This game is fantastic. Where am I going to start? I guess with the story. It's one of those things where I wasn't really paying attention to the story that much, and I find that's a big thing with me for Super Nintendo games, especially action games. I just never seem to get into the storylines. I don't know what it is with me in terms of like that. If it's an RPG, I can get into it. If it's a game like this or a Castlevania game or something, I'll just like I watched the beginning cutscene. I read all the text in this game, but I really wasn't sure what the story was, other than going to kill this creature, this demon kind of creature, Phalanx. And your character is Firebrand. You're a demon, basically. So I can't really talk about the story much. I don't really know what happens. I didn't really care about it, but it's one of those things with action games on the Super Nintendo. I always kind of play them for the gameplay, not really the story. But this isn't some super in-depth storyline. It's not like this epic storyline or anything. Where this game really shines is the gameplay. I'll talk about presentation though. This game looks amazing. Really nice artwork, really awesome 2D sprites. I love the backgrounds, tons of detail in them. The environments are they're very dark and kind of like gothic influenced, you can tell, but it's not just castles and stuff like that. There are some castles, but there's like an ice area, there's underwater sections, for a forest area. Like there's a lot of variety in the environments too. It's definitely one of the better looking Super Nintendo games. Came out in 1994, so it's not quite one of the, well, it's kind of towards the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan, but I mean, Capcom hit it out of the park with this game in terms of its presentation. Audio. The music in this game is amazing too. I was really impressed by the music. My favorite song in the game, surprisingly enough, is the song that plays when you enter the shops in the game. I don't know, that song really caught me off guard. I really like it, but the rest of the songs are really excellent. It's not a top-tier Super Nintendo soundtrack. It's no Donkey Kong Country 2 or Earthbound or Final Fantasy 6 or anything like that, but it's definitely damn good. I mean, Capcom was always putting out amazing soundtracks for their games back in the day. Now, gameplay, the most important part, and why I love this game so goddamn much. First off, the game kind of starts off where you're kind of just fighting a boss battle, and the game just immediately throws you into things. You kill this boss battle, and you go through a pretty standard level, which will lead me to talk about the controls, which are perfect in this game. Jumping is really tight and precise. You have like a flying move where if you jump and hold B in midair, well, actually you don't even have to hold it, you just press B in midair and you hover, and you can kind of move left and right while you're in the air like that. And it really controls nice, and you can drop down with A whenever you want, and the flying controls actually work quite well. I don't know, I just always felt in control with this game, whether it was fighting the enemies or the bosses. Anytime I got hit in this game, I always felt it was my fault and not the controls. It's so nice to play a game where you're not fighting with the controls, and they're really excellent here, I felt. So there's that right off the bat. But the level you start off is pretty standard, and I noticed right away this game was going to be quite different. When I press the start button, and it brings up a menu where you can choose, for at least it looked like from the beginning, choose different power-ups. Or there was like these different menus where you could choose different power-ups and things. I didn't know what it was in the beginning, but later that opens up for you, where you can get crests in the game where you can change your demon form as like a demon form basically. The one you start off with just kind of shoots fireballs and can fly, but later in the game you'll get a crest form where you can like fly in the air. You get one where you can do like ground attacks and like do dash attacks. There's a swimming one you can get, and you collect these throughout the game, and all of them are really fun to use. You can switch them by pressing start and then equipping whatever form you want, which is one of maybe my minor complaints with the game. I would have maybe liked if you could switch them on the fly, but it's not as annoying as you might think. So you have all those different crests you can collect, and you can kind of change your form, and this is good for different situations. Some bosses might be weak against certain forms. To get past certain levels, you might have to use different forms. To get some of the hidden items, you gotta use different forms. And you get them kind of in random spots in the game, and you'll have to go back to previous levels, kind of in like a Metroidvania kind of way, to get previous power-ups and things. And there's not too many levels in this game, but it's always fun to kind of go back and try to get more power-ups. It's one of those games where 100%ing it takes a while. Did I 100% it? I'll talk about that a little bit later. But you can actually probably beat this game straight through in a couple hours, actually. The only problem with that is you'll be missing a lot of the power-ups, and the game will be pretty brutal. Difficulty-wise, the game is actually it's a very lenient game. I was surprised by that. The bosses won't give you too much trouble. Neither will the enemies. The level designs are. Some of them are challenging, but they never go over the top. It's actually probably one of the easier Super Nintendo action games. But when you die, you basically just a menu pops up where you can end the game, retry, or choose a different stage. And you can retry, and you're not going to really have to go back that far. And you get infinite retries. If you end the game, they'll give you a password, and you can use that password to continue where you left off. I just love how lenient this game is too. I was never frustrated from start to finish. Never once was I frustrated with this game, and it was always fun because the level design is quite good in this game. Lots of different secrets and multiple routes in these levels. It's just very fun to play. Now, when I said you could open the menu, there's more than just the demon forms. You get kind of these scrolls where you can equip different spells to these scrolls. I think you get 5 throughout the game. You can get different spells at the different shops throughout the game, and you can equip them and then use I think it's the X or the Y button to use them. There's not too many spells. I noticed that they're helpful in the levels themselves, but not against the bosses. I didn't find myself using them too much. But it's definitely a nice touch, and it's a nice feature that it's there. The thing that I used more, though, were the potions, where you can get different urns, and you can equip, potions to these urns. You can only have a spell or a potion equipped at one time, unfortunately, which I would have liked maybe if you could use a potion and a spell at the same time. And every time you use a potion or use a spell, it's a one-use thing, so you gotta go back into the menu and choose another one. To use it, which it can kind of be a bit cumbersome, but because I didn't use spells too much, it didn't bother me too much. I did use the potions quite a bit, though, and they're helpful, and there's different types of potions you can buy at the shops, too. I mean, that's another cool thing. There's talismans in this game as well, which you can find throughout the levels, which some of them might increase your attack, might increase your defense. The problem I have with that, though, is they don't tell you exactly what they do. You kind of have to go online on the internet to read exactly what they do, but again, it's... these little tiny RPG elements add a lot of, they add a lot to this game, I think, and it kept me going, and it kept me exploring these environments, trying to find new talismans and new urns and new crest forms. It's such a fun game to play. And another thing about this game that's super unique, and I wasn't expecting, is a world map. There's an explorable world map in this game where you can drop down to wherever location you want to go. There's shops on the map. It's not a terribly involved world map. I mean, there's not too many places you can go, but I thought it was a neat touch, and it kind of adds a kind of a slight exploration element to the game. and it looks pretty nice too, actually. That's one of those things that really caught me off guard. Now, there is one problem I have with this game. It has to do with the fact, or at least with why I didn't 100% it. It's one of those games where you can get a normal kind of ending, but it's not too satisfying. To get the true ending, you gotta collect every item in the game and then fight the final boss. And then there's another secret ending that you can unlock after that, once you get like the ultimate Crest form. Now, I got every item in this game except for the last health power-up. There's like heart piece kind of items in this game, like in Zelda, where it increases your health by 1. But to get the last power-up in this game, you have to do this mini-game at a shop, where you kind of have to use your headbutt attack to attack these like statues that pop out of these holes, like a whack-a-mole type thing. And you have to do like 25 of them in a really short time limit to get this last heart thing. And I could not do it. Like, I think it almost seems downright impossible. I just couldn't do it. Like, I looked on internet for tips, and like even like there's 3 of these mini games you can do. There's like a level 1, 2, and 3, and I can't even do the level 1 mini game, smashing 12 of them in a time limit. So 25 was completely out of the question, and that kind of frustrated me. The fact that I couldn't get the secret ending just because I couldn't do a stupid mini game that really doesn't add much to the game. It's actually probably my biggest complaint with the game. So I had to look up I had to use a password system to kind of get all the items. I had to cheat a bit to do that, to see the rest of the endings. So yeah, it can be a short game if you kind of want to rush through it, but the fun of this game is playing it like you would like a Super Metroid. I haven't played that game yet. I really need to play Super Metroid, where you just kind of search for all the different items. There's a nice progression in this game. By the end, you feel super powerful. The one Crest form I got, the ultimate Crest form, it was crazy overpowered, but it made me feel like such a badass. But yeah, Demon's Crest. Excellent, excellent game. Might just be the most underrated game on the Super Nintendo, I'd say. Is it worth that $70 price tag? If you like games like this, these Metroidvania style games, I'd say it's worth going for. I mean, for the amount of content you get out of it, it might not be worth that $70 price tag. But it's an amazing game, and definitely one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. So yeah, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.